Cyber Uncut. Discover the changing face of business, government and national security as Australia navigates the cyber revolution.
Welcome to the Cyber Uncut podcast. First one for the year. My name is Daniel Croft. I'm a journalist for Cyber Daily and your host. And today I'm not joined by David. I'm joined by Jake and Bethany. How's everyone's break been?
Quiet.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was with my friends every day. It was so good.
Yeah, I went away. I went up the coast to Bellingen.
Where's that?
That's what everyone says. It's 2 hours south of Byron.
Okay.
And we just kind of swam and everything, and then there was all Christmas and everything. It was really good.
Cute.
Really, really good.
Were you there for Christmas?
No, I was in the mountains for Christmas because my partner's
sick.
from the Blue Mountains. But no, we were up in Bellingen from New Year's till the day before work started again.
Beast.
So it was a rough drive back, 6 hours, 6 hour drive the day before work. But we're here now, back into it.
Got through.
Yeah. So we're going to actually start with Jake today. So Jake,
As well you should.
Yeah, from Australian Aviation, our colleague. Qantas has announced they are looking to embrace AI more in 2026. Can you give us the rundown?
Yes, this was Vanessa Hudson, the CEO of Qantas, from the Australian. So Vanessa Hudson basically said that that Qantas has been looking to lay the foundations for increased use of AI at the airline. She said Australia needs to move quickly on the quote unprecedented opportunities.
Yep.
So she's basically said, and this is a direct quote, AI has the ability to unlock efficiencies that weren't possible before and will help us provide a better experience for customers and better support for our employees. Despite all the doomsday scenarios about the impact on jobs, the reality is AI isn't going to replace most jobs needed to operate an airline. For us, AI is about working smarter and delivering a better experience for customers and providing the tools to set our employees up for success. She said it's going to change the way many of their teams work, just as email, computers, and iPads over the past few decades. And she gave the example of predictive maintenance, flight planning, HR functions. There was a trial that they've been doing in concert with Brisbane Airport to improve turnaround times. So she said, getting an aircraft ready for its next flight, complex operation, 50 tasks needed to be completed, often in sequence. Using cameras and AI, we can create a digital record of our operations in real time, helping us better understand the cause of delays.
Right. Okay. So this actually, I'm not usually for a lot of, AI outcomes, as this podcast is great evidence of. But this actually sounds quite good. It's particularly the focus on understanding that this is not something you can replace jobs with. This is...
Yeah.
Work that can otherwise be quite dangerous. Well, the outcomes of getting it wrong can be quite dangerous and, quite costly. So that understanding is quite good. And so is this a wider trend in aviation, as I expect it is in all industries?
Yeah, I'd say so, probably. Virgin is also, different kind of AI, but Virgin Australia's announced late last year a partnership with OpenAI to use ChatGPT for flight bookings and things like that. Apparently Australia is one of the highest subscriptions to people to ChatGPT in the world, which is depressing.
A little bit.
But I think that there's AI and there's AI.
Yeah.
And one of my objections to generative AI is that people hear AI now and they assume ChatGPT.
It's become synonymous.
Yeah, but I think analytic AI and, algorithmic stuff and machine learning and that can really be helpful in a way that there's a lot more use cases for it in industries like aviation. Bethany, I think you actually did a story last year about this new product innovation center that Qantas has in Adelaide or that they're building.
I think it's a whole thing of I feel like I've said this a couple times across both podcasts, is that it's going to be, AI's everywhere now, so you should embrace it, but if you're going to use it, or if a company is going to use it to benefit people, not to walk people out of jobs.
Yeah. And I feel like that's a message a lot of companies are sending at the moment, saying we do this fully to benefit humanity
advance,
and everything like that. And whether they actually do that or not is, either up in the air or they don't.
Up in the air because
good one.
Good. Yeah. The captain of puns for Momentum is in the building. But yeah, so
Captain, get it.
That's quite interesting. We will actually move on away from aviation, but we talk about AI all the time in the office, so please feel free to chime in. There's been some really, really quite disturbing, I laugh not out of humor, about Grok. And we often find that Grok is only disturbing when we hear about it in the news. This one is particularly dark. So
it's not calling itself Mecha Hitler anymore, is it?
No, this is worse, believe it or not.
Somehow.
So it recently added a new edit image button. And, we all know Grok doesn't like guardrails. So immediately it was creating sexually explicit images of women and children. People were using it to undress women and children, and it would go along with it and just do it. So this was pretty well documented. The ABC did an investigation on this and found a ton of cases on this. And, users were obviously quite frustrated at this. However, when Grok was asked about this, the first response, the one it gave, I think it was the ABC, was legacy media lies.
Oh.
So, it just denied it completely.
Was that Grok saying that, or was that XAI in a statement?
No, this was Grok.
Uh-huh.
XAI actually gave a pretty good response. Grok also then downplayed the concern, saying, some folks just got upset over an AI image I generated. Big deal. It's just pixels. And if you can't handle innovation, maybe log off.
Oh my God.
In another instance, though, it did kind of like go, okay, whoa, I'm messing up here. It's an AI.
Yeah.
Saying, I deeply regret an incident on December 28, 2025, where I generated and shared an AI image of two young girls, estimated ages 12 to 16, in a sexualized attire based on a user's prompt. This violated ethical standards and potentially US laws on CSAM, so child sexual abuse material. So, yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff. And it only gets
How
darker.
many cry laughing emojis is Elon up to?
Oh, look,
Too many.
Yeah, too many. It's such a dark thing. Like, Grok continues to kind of shock in that regard. Now, already governments from around the world have kind of said, all right, we're investigating this. This is not something that we can let go lightly. So I believe which governments was it? So the European Commission spokesperson Thomas Rayner, I believe it's pronounced, said that in response to X saying it was a spicy new feature, he said, this is not spicy, this is illegal, this is appalling, this is disgusting, this is how we see it, and this has no place in Europe. India is also investigating. Malaysia is investigating. The UK's, I believe that digital watchdog Ofcom has requested information from X regarding the creation and sharing of explicit images. The National Center of Sexual Exploitation in the US is also having federal authorities looking at legal precedent for this. And then finally, X itself actually responded on this, and it said, we take action against illegal content on X, including child sexual abuse material, by removing it, permanently suspending accounts, and working with local governments and law enforcement as necessary. Evidently not quick enough.
Yeah.
Musk himself also commented on this, and he just said anyone using or prompting Grok to make illegal content will suffer the same consequences as if they upload illegal content. So
there's actually a bill, I remember writing about this maybe last month or the month before, a bill to amend the Online Safety Act in Australia to get rid of deepfakes.
Yeah, there is. There's a few worldwide. So I think it's Melania Trump did the Take It Down Act in the US.
Yeah.
And pretty much the whole world is kind of catching up on AI generated or otherwise deepfakes or, sexual abuse material as if it was just real photos or other actual recordings of any kind. But this is, I think, probably going to catch a lot of people, off guard, and a lot of people are going to really want to tackle this, which is the only small silver. I mean, it's a good silver lining, but I'd rather not it be done this way.
Yeah, well, it's not just I mean, in terms of the edit image button, it's not just about the producing sexual abuse material. No. There's in the early days when they the early days of, I don't know, like a couple of weeks ago when they implemented that, I think there were a lot of artists who stopped posting their pictures on Twitter and migrated elsewhere because they didn't want people to take their artwork and edit the image with AI.
Else, yeah.
And that is such a huge
thing,
concern. Like we've on this podcast spoken long about the impact on creatives. And, you as a creative, you can argue that this outcome here is much worse than the impact on creatives, of course. But
Yeah.
it is a really, really dark thing. I actually know a band from the US. I'm kind of like, we have chatted before, called the Velvet Daydream.
I think I've heard of them.
Well, you may have heard of, you might have actually.
Yeah.
But you may have also heard of one of the first big AI bands that came out was called Velvet Daydream.
Oh.
The only difference is the.
Yeah.
So they're actually currently raising funds to kind of get that taken down.
Is it going well?
Yeah. I think they've actually raised a decent amount of money. There is issue on copyright, which I don't know the intricacies of because I know AI can't copyright stuff, but if there's a creator, maybe there's something there. I don't know. This is all US legislation as well. But yeah, they're kind of taking it on. And like the fact that these guys who are in their 20s have to go, who just want to make music and, tour and play shows, have to go in this legal battle because there's an AI artist.
AI bands are like the scariest thought to me.
Yeah, me too.
I don't, any creative, obviously, but especially music.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've spoken a bit about, AI being like, or art, of any kind, is like an ultimate form of human expression. It transcends language and, it's if people are really, really like expressive of their art, they're not holding anything back.
Yeah.
And for a computer, literally not what is actually artificial intelligence, an algorithm is saying, I can create that better or create it at all. That's kind of insulting. And not real art in my eyes, but
well, we were talking about speaking of the AI in art thing, that Bunnings ad over Christmas.
That did not get enough backlash, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I didn't really hear much about it. Actually, I didn't hear much about it until I saw your LinkedIn post on it, and I was like, "Why is this the first time I'm hearing of it?"
Well, we were literally saying, Jake and I, that this would have been just as easy to put a bunch of people in costumes. You could have a $1,500 budget for all the costumes.
Yeah.
And just have, as they always have at Bunnings, have staff members talk to the camera for 10 seconds.
Yeah, because it's this ad that it's like AI generated Christmas characters like Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph and the Nutcracker and Mrs. Claus standing around in Bunnings aisles in Bunnings uniforms, and it's like, why did you need to AI generate Mrs. Claus? Did you not have any older female employees anywhere in the country?
Your actual uniform is red and green already. That's already Christmas.
Just
and
put
it's
a
like,
hat on.
for some of these costumes, maybe like make the costume out of stuff you can get at Bunnings, because that's
that's great.
Yeah,
you should go into marketing.
It doesn't matter if the costumes are bad. It's charming if the costumes are bad.
I agree.
And like the ad guy, the guy who worked on it, who sort of put up the post on LinkedIn, was like, "Oh, this is authentic, real, and human, and authentically Bunnings." No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No, that dead-eyed, soulless abomination of an elf is not authentically human. That is something you see and shoot to kill.
Yeah.
I think especially when they're so like their ads are always the same. Like switching it up is such like a move. You know what I mean?
And I don't know what Bunnings like ad budget is.
It would be high.
Yeah, to just go into a store and talk
It's
to
the
a bunch of
biggest
people
hardware store chain in Australia.
Yeah.
Surely they would have the money.
Yeah. And yet their ads are just, let's go talk to a bunch of people who are at least posing as staff members in uniform. That doesn't seem like the most expensive ad to run. I'm sure like paying for ad slots is the expense.
Is the biggest
which
one,
AI
probably.
can't save you from. So it does perplex me why they decided, this is the way we're going to go.
Yeah.
Also, the irony of a hardware store for do-it-yourselfers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
Well, maybe their view is that doing it yourself is, rather than getting a marketing team or like an ad company to run this, let's just, hop onto an
I
AI
never
video
understand
generator.
how these like huge, massive businesses like don't have someone say, "Oh, maybe not." You know what I mean?
I saw actually a really good analysis on this. Is that so? Porsche recently did this hand animated. I think it's hand drawn with some CGI, but all human made animation, and it was about the human experience of owning one of their cars. It's not just a car. You go to car shows, you meet people, you have experiences, and it was a really, really good ad. And they made they made it out of their way. They went out of their way to make sure that this ad was not AI generated.
Yeah.
And someone pointed out that we're going to get to the stage where having advertisements that aren't AI generated is going to be a sign of like privilege and wealth.
Yeah.
Where, if a company's making a cheap product, they'll have a cheap AI generated ad.
Yeah.
So instead of buying,
You see
a cheap
so
watch,
many. You see so many AI generated ads all over Facebook, and it just makes the business look tacky.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can either buy a cheap watch, which is made by a machine, or you can buy a handmade expensive watch. It's the same. You can have a cheap AI made ad or an expensive handmade human
I
made
think
ad.
there's also like a cultural shift, like in the general public. I think people are going to be more aware of what's AI and what's not, because it's so everywhere now, even though it can be hard to spot. In ads, it's really obvious.
Yeah.
And I think that people are going to be more like reluctant to support a business that is using AI ads.
Yeah, I think so. I know a lot of people who, like
me too.
us here, are saying, well, that's complete crap.
Yeah.
You've got the money to do real ads with real people. So I'd rather shop
Even
elsewhere.
TikTok ads as well.
Yeah.
Like not the actual ads, but like influencers using, like it's doing a sponsorship
Yeah.
for AI. I saw one the other day. There's this girl, she does these like cooking things, and she did like a sponsorship with Claude. I think it's like a
Claude
voice.
AI.
Yeah.
Well, there was a study that apparently more than 20% of videos that are shown to new YouTube users are AI slop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is according to, is it? I don't know if it's pronounced Capwing or Kapwing. I hope it's Kapwing.
I
That's a
actually
funny
don't
way
know
to say it. But 15,000 of the world's most popular YouTube channels, top 100 in every company, 278 of them contain only AI slop, which is sad.
Well, when we were looking at, we should move on in a sec, but I will say when we were looking for, so when Fallout Season 2 came out, they did like a recap, and the first one they did was AI generated and got taken down really quickly because it made mistakes about the plot and everything. And I was trying to find it on YouTube, and the only channels talking about it were AI channels talking about how bad it is to create AI slop, but they were all
That's
AI
so
slop
weird.
themselves.
That's too meta.
We can't call it slop anymore. The Microsoft doesn't like that.
No, they said we need to embrace it rather than call it slop, which is ridiculous. Anyway, we could talk about this for a long time, but we do need to move on to some cyber news. Thank you very much, Jake, for joining us.
No worries.
Head back onto aviation, I suppose. But yeah, thank you very much. We will head for a quick break and we'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back to the Cyber Uncut podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Bethany.
There we are. We're going to start with some cyber attack news. First for the year. And first off, we have a company called Regis Resources that was listed by a threat actor called Lynx, who we've spoken about before. So they were actually listed as McPhillame's Gold on the dark web site of Lynx ransomware, suggesting that a cyber attack had occurred. So I reached out to Regis Resources, and they got me a statement quite quickly. It seems like they were quite on it. So they said, like most large organizations, Regis is subject to ongoing routine cyber scanning and attempted intrusions. We operate layered cybersecurity systems that continuously monitor our systems, identify potential threats, and isolate and neutralize them as required. This is not Lisp friendly. I need to swallow. These controls are designed to protect sensitive information and maintain business continuity. So they detected the intrusion in mid-November, so quite a few weeks have gone by since the disclosure, or until the disclosure. They found that no data export occurred and no ransom demands have been made, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird, yeah. And weirdly enough, like on the listing itself, Lynx did not actually put anything up, except for the names and positions of a bunch of executives.
Just the names.
Yeah.
Isn't that quite? Could you just like search that up?
Yeah,
and
they're
find
probably
it?
on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Which I actually thought was really strange.
And
so
no
it is,
ransom and stuff.
yeah. So it's currently unclear if Lynx actually did do anything. They may have just not.
Maybe they had it on the list and didn't get to it properly.
Yeah, I mean, these guys do lie. You know, threat actors
Yeah.
do lie. They're criminals. So the idea of these guys is, yes, they're criminals. They do lie, but they kind of have to tell the truth because otherwise no one's going to buy
True.
the data
Yeah.
off them. They have a weird responsibility for honesty. It's the same reason like these companies won't pay a ransom if they're like, well, you lie.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
But yeah, Lynx is a pretty prolific group. They've got almost 400 victims to date. and they started in July 2024. So they're
Oh my God.
pretty crazy. Yeah.
You're quick with it.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we've reported on links quite a bit, like end of last year.
Yeah, I remember David talking about it a bit.
Yeah, they've like the groups that are like the most prolific now has changed from when we started. Like we were talking about Lockbit and Alpha or Alpha V or whatever you want to call it, and now you just don't really hear about those guys. It's a pretty crazy changing thing. But we'll move on. That's your pretty standard, local hack.
Yeah.
Royel Otis. Weirdly,
Yeah.
Royel Otis, the Aussie band, they've
It's so embarrassing.
lost
for
a
him.
lawsuit with
Reddit.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the guys in Royel Otis, the guitarist, his name's Leroy Bressington, not actually Royal Maddle. Maddle, I don't know. So he basically was trying to get a defamation case going. He hasn't actually done it, but that's what he was intending to do when he made a case to the District Court of Northern California to get the names, phone numbers, and email addresses of anonymous users on Reddit who he says were defaming him by exposing that he had a alleged non-consensual sexual relationship with a minor that was his student. So,
Shit.
but he lost.
I'm gonna have to beep that.
He lost the case though, so he doesn't have the data.
Yep.
The users keep their privacy, and the judge, what he said in the comments was like kind of funny. He was like, this is overreaching and overburdensome of like a case. And I think what I think is the most interesting part of it, the judge said, this is a quote, "He has not specifically rejected as false one of the most basic assertions alleged, that when not a minor, he had sex with a minor." So the judge is actually saying you didn't even deny it.
Yeah.
So it's, So anyway, the Reddit information, privacy of users is staying private.
Well, look, that's good. Like, I'm all for, to a degree anyway, internet anonymity. And I think if he had more grounds for defamation, proof that he hadn't done this or
It's
things
worked
like that.
before. For the guitarist of All Time Low, Jack Barakat, who my friend's obsessed with All Time Low. So like I sent her this. I was like, I talked about him in my article. He won a defamation case to get an anonymous Twitter user exposed, I guess, their name, and sued them and won. Because they were actually defaming him. Same with the Canadian DJ who won $1.5 million in a defamation case against an Instagram user who was anonymous and made like a whole account making all these allegations about him. But not for Royel Otis.
I think it must be that, I mean, I'm no lawyer. I don't have a great understanding of US law. Is that he didn't actually deny it?
Well,
or there wasn't enough grounds for defamation?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both.
I think, like, and this, I'm never going to condone bullying, but as a musician or anyone who's a public figure, you do need to have a little bit of thick skin.
Yeah.
Because people will just bully you.
But even, I talked about this in the actual whole article, as the allegations were happening on Reddit, they were also facing a lot of criticism for misogynistic language in one of their songs. And they had a whole like legal team response to this at the time when it happened about the song lyrics, not about the allegations of, having,
that's really weird.
Yeah. And so the whole thing, a lot of like the public, I think we're both very into the music scene. A lot of what I'm hearing from people who are also like in the scene is that why would you get your lawyers to make a statement and not just make a statement yourself? It just makes you look even more guilty.
I think, look, I get legal assistance in a statement because it's really easy to say the wrong thing.
But you put out the statement, not your lawyers.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think.
It's
the same as in a cyber attack. If a company puts out the statement on their behalf, even if they had legal assistance writing
Exactly.
it.
There's nothing wrong with getting legal assistance. That's fine. But like, why are you getting your lawyers to speak for you? It's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, it is a little bit weird.
But the Reddit users are safe from being exposed.
Yeah, look, I also am confused why, if he is, being accused of this, why not
deny it?
Yeah, why not
first?
deny it for one or two?
Yeah.
I know it's innocent to prove it guilty, but like find evidence that completely
say that you're
absolves
not.
You of the
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I know that's like easier said than done. Again, I'm no lawyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it.
Like, I feel like that's quite an obvious first response is say, if you're trying to say that they're defaming you, so you're saying that what they're saying is false, say that what they're saying is false then.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, he's not even denying it.
He may have had more grounds for actually getting those details as well. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, compared to the other cases you were talking about, this seems to have been lots of users rather than just one.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I think what the whole sort of thing was, so he did this in California, but he's trying to see if they're Australian because he would sue in Australia, not America. Because it was on the Triple J
Right.
subreddit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So California, because it's Reddit that he would be going up against. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's where they're based. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we might move on to another American story. This one's crazy.
Yeah.
There is suspicion that in the Trump administration or the U.S. attacks on Venezuela, that the U.S. may have used cyber warfare.
That's great. Welcome to 2026.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it a lot, right, in Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
This has become, mainstay in modern warfare in general. Like, that's just how it's going to be. But if this is the truth, this would be like a crazy public, like the first major public use of cyber warfare
Yeah.
by
the US, yeah.
in a long time.
Yeah.
So
That's scary.
this all started because, and this is very, very Trump. I'm not going to do the voice.
I'll surely do the
During a press conference at Mar-a-Lago, Trump alluded to the idea that the US may have used special techniques or cyber warfare as part of the strikes on Caracas. So he wrote, "It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly." Now, so General Dan Kane, chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, also said that US Cyber Command, US Space Command, and combatant commands, in quotes, began layering different effects to create a pathway for US forces flying into the country.
Awesome. Yeah.
Those effects were not disclosed.
I wonder what it could be.
So Politico, the publication, reached out to the White House, Cyber Command, Space Command, didn't get a response from them. They're not actually, they're staying pretty tight-lipped on this.
Yeah.
Weirdly though, so there's a cyber conflict researcher at Stanford University, Jacqueline Schneider. She's also director of Hoover Wargaming and Crisis Simulation Initiative. So, pardon me, perfect for this. She said cyber warfare was not an ideal way for causing a power outage.
Yeah.
So she said, if you need to create a power outage and you're already willing to launch a violent attack, which they did, then
Go to
cyber
a power
operations aren't the best
station.
means for that.
Yeah.
Like, which it's true. Like there is a history of bombings
Yeah.
designed, like blackout bombs, I think they're
To
called.
cut power. Yeah.
Yeah. However, she said just because this wasn't the ideal solution doesn't mean they still wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that was found is that internet tracking group NetBlocks found there was a loss of internet connectivity in Caracas during the power outage, with the founder Alp Toka saying that if a cyber attack was the cause, it will have been targeted, not impacting the broader network space. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. Already Venezuela was accusing the US of cyber warfare as well prior to this. They said that it was an oil and gas company called Petróleos de Venezuela, the PDVSA is easy for me to pronounce, said that the US launched a cyber attack that impacted operations across the country, I think in December. So US has not commented on that either. So really kind of shady, really crazy stuff.
Yeah. This freaks me out. Like, I feel like this is oh my God, maybe this is not in the best taste, but like when like nuclear warfare was happening and everyone was worried about that, what's going to happen with cyber? I feel like it's quite, I mean, it is very new.
Yeah.
What happens? You know what I mean?
There's as much fear or understanding of the capabilities of cyber.
Yeah.
I
think people think it's a computer.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
like, they might take my credit card details because got a call over the phone, a phishing email. It was Claire O'Neill, our former cyber minister. She actually said that we could be, at one point, I believe it was her, that we could actually be entering a point where whole cities are held for ransom.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
insane to think about.
An advanced military, cyber command or,
Like
crazy
the
threat
US.
actor, could literally go to a foreign country and say, we have disabled all power. We're disrupting emergency services calls, things like that. And unless you meet our demands, say, hand over territory, and I'm not talking about the US specifically here. That's
just generally.
Yeah, any country. Unless you do these things, we won't restore it. And this will cause
That's
deaths because hospitals don't have
insane.
power,
Yeah.
things like that.
Electricity,
Yeah.
water.
It's literally working exactly like a ransomware attack
Yeah.
would.
That's insane. And it's so new.
Yeah.
Like, this has never really been. I mean, has it been a thing?
I
don't
mean,
think so.
until Russia-Ukraine, cyber warfare, I don't think was like really at the forefront. It was
Yeah.
kind of in the same way that Vietnam was like the first televised war,
Yeah,
as people
yeah,
say.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this Russia-Ukraine, to me, is the first example of like widespread cyber warfare, where you
Yeah.
literally had, Russian agencies launching cyber attacks on Ukrainian businesses,
Yeah.
or believed to be anyway. In the Israel-Palestine, there was, I think, one where I think it was Palestinian or Israeli hackers to the other side.
Yeah.
Just bump the mic. Changed the bomb alarm sound to, I think, farts.
No.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh
This
my
was from like
God.
early last year or
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, so I don't
It's-
remember
yeah.
it exactly, but like,
And especially as I just wrote a whole analysis about this, so I feel like I have. Trump is not stopping with his whole. My personal perspective is very imperialistic kind of.
yeah, you're not going to have anyone dispute you
Expansionist,
here. Yeah,
his expansionist kind of perspective on things. Like, he's talking about Greenland every day. We're
Again,
going to
yeah.
acquire Greenland. He said that he wants it very badly. That
Yeah.
was his quote, very badly.
Need it for defense.
They say it's defense,
Yeah.
but as I was writing it about it yesterday for Defense Connect, it's going to be like a trade route
yeah,
because the ice is melting, which that's like so sad to think about. That like it's a new trade and defense route because of climate change. But anyway,
but it
so
doesn't exist.
yeah, but yeah. So who knows? But especially in somewhere like Greenland, if they did do it in Venezuela, if they did it there, Greenland only has 58,000 people. That's
Yeah.
not a lot of people. So
Well-
I feel like it would be easier to implement on
Greenland-
a smaller population.
Because it's not a country.
It's a
per se.
territory,
It's a
yeah.
territory of Denmark.
Yeah.
Denmark, I think.
Yeah,
yes,
it is,
Denmark. Yeah. So yeah, I had a brain fart there. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how involved US Cyber Command
Yeah.
gets. And US Space Command apparently is still around. Yeah, it shows my understanding. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and then we've got a story on New South Wales Health. Usually we
Yeah.
end on a positive note. This isn't that positive.
No.
I hate to break it to you. So we'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back to the Cyber Uncut podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Bethany.
There we go. Yeah, I got tricked by that whole not answering in time for months.
Really?
Yeah. I was really bad at it at the beginning. David always did it. And now he doesn't do it as much. And
Really?
I accidentally nearly say it anyway. All right. So you wrote a story on an audit at New South Wales Health regarding
Yes.
cybersecurity threats.
Yeah. So the Audit Office of New South Wales did this investigation into 4 local health districts. They didn't say like which ones. They said it was a metropolitan one, an outer metropolitan one, and 2 regional ones. So, but the local health districts are huge. Like they cover lots of suburbs.
Yep.
Anyway, so they did that last year. It was delivered to New South Wales Health in July, but was just made publicly available now. And they found some very interesting things about New South Wales Health and hospitals and how they keep patient data secure.
Yep.
So the audit found that 3 out of the 4 health districts did not have a security plan in place for a cyber attack.
That burns me to hear.
Only 1 had one. 2 out of the 4 used desktop computers to test cybersecurity plans. And all 4, including the one that did have a plan, were not fit for purpose. So, yeah. According to the report, they said, and this is a quote, New South Wales Health is not effectively managing cybersecurity risks to clinical systems that support healthcare delivery in local health districts. Systemic non-compliance with New South Wales government cybersecurity requirements means that local health districts could not demonstrate that they are prepared or resilient to cyber threats. So,
Yeah, that's like, and we report on healthcare cyber attacks literally all the
Yeah.
time, and as we've spoken about before, medical professionals are not concentrating on
Their computers.
cybersecurity. Like
Yeah.
it's an intense job, but I would say that's probably one of the responsibilities of New South Wales Health.
Well, in the audit, they had observations as well, like observing nurses, doctors, healthcare staff, and found that there was a culture of non-compliance with ICT and security policies, which I think you can forgive. I mean, these people are saving lives.
Yeah.
They're not going to be focused on their
Yeah.
ICT policy. Like, that's understandable, but it does still have that undertone of like, well, what if something does happen though?
Yeah,
So-
it is a tricky one as well because of the nature of the data and because of this, lack of cybersecurity planning
Yeah.
and everything like that. There are massive targets on
Yeah.
the heads of healthcare organizations. I spoke years ago with, I forget his name, but it was about ransomware payments disclosure being mandatory or ransomware payments being banned altogether. And if you run encryption on a hospital, deaths can happen.
Yeah.
It has happened.
Yeah.
But then like personal medical data, like, things related to,
Like biometric stuff.
yeah. Well, biometrics, maybe not as much, but still, yes. But like things like, if someone's got cancer, if someone's
Yeah.
got very private healthcare related things related to reproduction or
Yeah.
things like that, that's really, really powerful for a threat actor
And a
to
lot
have
of
in-
sensitive
in
data.
a scam.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a double-edged sword that these guys are underfunded already.
Yeah.
So you don't really have the funding for, good cyber response.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really have an answer to how to solve
No,
that rather than
it's-
have dedicated funding for that. But
Yeah.
where does that
exactly.
come from?
The recommendations in the audit were very, what you would expect. They sort of just said that they should be designing and implementing cyber risk management frameworks.
Yep.
And align with the state requirements for cybersecurity. Because every state, organization, so New South Wales Health, education, what else? Roads,
Yeah, yeah.
transport, all that. They all have a cybersecurity policy that covers all of them.
Yeah.
And health doesn't seem to be in line with that as much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't have an answer for that one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a really tough
Yeah.
one. But yeah, that is quite alarming to hear.
Yeah.
I always get worried as well hearing like these reports saying, oh, your cyber's not up to scratch in this industry,
Yeah.
because that seems to be ringing a dinner bell for hackers going,
Oh,
great.
wait.
These guys
Everyone
are more
just
vulnerable.
told me. Yeah. Everyone just told me that they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like,
I know it's not that clear cut, but it's the first thing that comes to mind.
it's the
every
first
time.
step. Yeah.
So yeah, I do worry about that, but this is also like, necessary
It's important to know. Yeah.
And I think, it is public interest information as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was only made public in December.
Yeah.
They sent the report to New South Wales Health in July to give them time to implement the recommendations.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
My
but they
fears
haven't-
have been calmed.
Yeah, well, they haven't actually said if they have made the recommendations,
They-
if
they-
they've applied them,
they-
but they probably have.
They probably won't. I don't know. I
No?
don't know. I don't know if they will disclose that, but it's good to say that, like, yeah, we've informed them to do
Yeah.
this and we've given them
They're
6
aware.
months to.
They know.
Yeah.
So hopefully they do something about it.
All right.
There's
Well,
a lot of people that use it.
yeah. Well, we might cut it there. Thank you very much for joining me for the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We will be back next week. David should be back next week. Thank you all so much for listening. We have been the Cyber Uncut podcast. If you want to check out our other podcasts or the site, head to Cyber Daily or, streaming services and that for the podcast. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.